All right, here we go. We're going into the offseason of year number 1 with your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do. Last season was not ideal. We did not make the playoffs. I mean, we almost did. But not quite. And speaking of the playoffs, the Calder Cup champions are the Providence Bruins in 5 games over the Colorado Eagles. And with that, let us move on to the last day of the season and get our performance report. So we unfortunately only got 1 positive category. We did also get a negative category in that we failed to reach the playoffs. That's meaning our total season score is 11. I believe I'm pretty sure that's our worst season score so far, unfortunately. Total career score is currently sitting at a 331. We have 2 available points. I'll put them into tactics. And unfortunately, there is quite a long list of players that I was not able to re-sign. Some of them pretty good players. So it looks like we're going to have a long offseason ahead of us. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just sign any players that I want to sign, off screen, and then I'll show them after they're signed. Okay, so here's what our current roster is looking like on July 1st. Haven't made any signings just yet. Half the players belong to Pittsburgh, half of them belong to us. So when it comes to players that we have under contract, we have, I think, 1 goaltender, 1 defenseman, and then 5 forwards. So we definitely need quite a bit out of this free agency. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get at least 1 assistant coach, preferably 2. We do have $251,000 in staff finances. All right, so I've approached a few players here. Going back after Brooks Yablonski, who we traded him for a player who is now, of course, no longer on our roster. So I figured I'd go back after him. And you also have Trevor Mcdowell, pretty good offensive defenseman by the looks of it. Spent most of his career in the AHL, it appears, bouncing back and forth between there and the ECHL. But in 33 games with the Manitoba Moose last season, he had 21 points. I will certainly take that on my roster any day. Going back after Jacob Newcomb, he was on our roster last season. Although for the most part, he played in the U.S. Semi-Pro League. Figured I'd go after some more depth. You have Nathan Gaudette, played with the Utica Comets last season. 34 points in 59 games played, 65 grade. But here is what I think will be the real gem. Zhao Ao, who the last time he played in the AHL with the San Diego Gulls, 37 points in 34 games on the back end. So, I mean, if that's any indication of what we're going to get with him this upcoming season, presuming he signs with us, of course, that is quite an expensive contract that we have offered him, $675,000. He's going to be by far the highest paid player on our roster, but you know what? If he can replicate that performance, then he should be worth every penny. I also managed to get a full assistant coach staff with Kevin Swanson as our goalie coach, Doug Mason as our defensive coach. Offensive coach is Stefan Reinalter, and a skill coach in Martin Veres. So that should help with the development of our young players. And with that, we will simulate ahead and see what we get. So unfortunately, Brooks Yablonski did not sign with us, and now he's all of a sudden not interested in signing with us. But the good news, we did get Zhao Ao on board. So let's take a look at his rate. I knew it. I freaking knew it. He is exactly the same. He looks exactly the same as, what's his name? Ku Xingzhao, I think it was. Yeah, he's like exactly the same. And remember, Ku Xingzhao, he had 88 points last season with the Providence Bruins, 240 penalty minutes, and he still had that many points. And he spent that much time in the box. I am very interested to see how Zhao Ao does with your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. That is a ridiculously low defensive category, but you know what? The offense and the physical category makes up for it. The team player makes up for it as well. I cannot wait to see how he does. I mean, his shooting range and his puck handling has literally surpassed the cap of 20. This could either be the greatest or the worst investment of the GM. Probably the greatest, if I'm being honest, because I've never seen players like this before. Like with a defensive category that low and with an offensive category that good. I mean, all right, so we are at the start of the preseason for year number 2 with your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Our roster looks pretty solid. Our goaltending, I believe, is the same as last season. You got Moorhead there as the starting goaltender. And then on defense, I might want to sign a backup defenseman just in case one goes down with an injury, because as of right now, we only have 6 on the roster. So I don't want to have to rely on Pittsburgh to send us any if they don't have any spare defensemen to send here. And then at forward, you have Taylor Beggert, who is 22 years of age, contracted to Pittsburgh. Ratings look pretty good, so hopefully Taylor Beggart will be here for the majority, if not all, the season, although I'm not expecting him to be, given that he's 4.5-star ability. And he'll probably be one of those players that goes back and forth between the NHL and the AHL. But even after him, you got a lot of depth. You got Zevakin, Marcotte, a lot of 3-star players in there as well. So I'm hoping this will be a much better season than last season for us. And of course, with the addition of the Taiwan superstar Zhao Ao, as we take a look at his history, he has just some absolutely phenomenal point totals in basically every league he's played in. So I can't wait to see how he simulates for us. So unfortunately, we're at the start of the season right now, and Zhao Ao is on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Even though he's contracted to us, he's currently on their roster. So hopefully he gets sent back sooner rather than later, because today is day 1 of the regular season, of our season anyway. So hopefully Pittsburgh will send him back. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, because he actually looks like he did phenomenal during the preseason for them. Oh man, especially with that defensive grade. How does he have that kind of defensive grade with those kinds of defensive ratings? Okay, it looks like Pittsburgh's preseason is over, so I'm hoping within the next couple days or so that they will send him back down here. Actually, you know what I just realized? I can call back Zhao Ao to the team because we have his rights, so he's coming back to Wilkes-Barre. All right, so we're a month in now. We're 6-8-1. Pretty pitiful start, honestly. I mean, our offense is decent as of right now. We got Quinn leading the way with 15 points. Zhao Ao, the captain, with 10 points in 13 games. But unfortunately, our defense has really not been there at all. Goaltending even hasn't been strong. Moorhead at a .904 save percentage and an .884 for Workman. I mean, he's our backup goaltender for a reason, but definitely need a stronger performance out of him. And as we take a look at our goals against per game, we are the 3rd worst in the league with a 3.87. I mean, I know that it's only been roughly 15 games or so. Not a good start, especially penalty kill as well. 79.2. 27th in the league. So that absolutely cannot stand. So what I'm thinking is, since our offense is decent anyway, why not just make it great? I'm thinking of firing Ricci because he's a defensive coach, and clearly this is an offensively focused team. So if we can score enough goals to offset the lack of defense, that might be a good fix. Because even with all the changes over the offseason that I attempted to make defensively, they don't seem to be working. So I think I might just want to try a run-and-gun offense team. I mean, Shane Church isn't great when it comes to his coaching ratings, but he's got the Chrysler Dahlquist build in that he does high motivation, high tactics, and he's an offensive preference coach as well. I mean, Ricci hasn't really gotten much of a chance considering he hasn't even been here for a full season yet, but it's not liking the way this team is simulating with him as the head coach. I'll give him one more month. And then if we don't have a winning record by the end of November, then I think I'm going to replace him with Shane Church. Yeah, okay, I've seen enough. We're 11-14-1, basically at the end of November, only 2 games left till December 1st. And even if we won those 2 games, still not a great record. So I think we are going to fire Mr. Mike Ricci. Okay, Dave Armstrong, I'm going to override you here. And we're going to go with the Chrysler Dahlquist tactics here and hope that high tactics and motivation work. Honestly, I just have this feeling that the AHL is going to be the hardest league to win, because not only do we not have control, like 100% control over our roster, but it's not like we could even rebuild in this league either, because, you know, the draft's not a thing. All we can really do is just build through free agency and hope Pittsburgh helps us out. And then obviously we have control over our head coaches and assistant coaches and all of that, but that's really about it. So I think this will be the toughest league to win, honestly. So with that, I think we're just about done here. And in the next one, we'll finish up with year number 2. And hopefully at that point, we'll be in the playoffs. Although, as of right now, it is not looking good.